just this brand new CBA that kind of has players in a very touchy point with the owners. Teams today have a lot of excuses of why not to pay guys. The 65 game threshold rule is one, and also that second apron, but the players as well as their union did agree to this. And now we're only a few years into that new agreement, as there's a lot of chirping coming from the players because they realize, fuck, we got finessed.
You want to talk about the CBA?
Yeah, go ahead.
Dog shit.
Okay, how do you want to fix it?
Well, I think the first mistake was we let a hard cap get in.
Mm-hmm.
And believe it or not, it's hurt everyone. It's hurt players. It's hurt agents. It's hurt coaches. It's hurt development. It's hurt so many different things.
Right.
And the only players that really benefit is the very top of the line guys. SGA, Luka, LeBron. You have to be on that level to just get your max deal with no questions asked. If you fall anywhere from the top 7 to 15 guys in the NBA, you got to fight for your money. We seen Jimmy Butler almost hold out in Miami. Same thing for Brandon Ingram going all the way to Toronto. Shit, even the Pelicans GM had admitted that Ingram basically had no market because teams were not willing to just pay around $40 million for a player that's pretty much a top 30 guy, top 25 to, you could say anywhere 15 on. There's a lot of hesitation with owners when it comes to that tier level of players. I'll throw a link in the description below. Mark Cuban also spoke about this, where in his words, owners were going to start paying guys not necessarily off their talent, but off the tier level that their talent actually falls in. And all this is really happening because teams do not want to hit that second apron in the luxury tax. The penalties are just way too severe for improving teams year in, year out.
Because you can't make decisions based on winning. Mm-hmm. You can't make decisions based on development. You make decisions based on money. And that affects everything.
Mm. Hey, that sounds perfect for all that private equity money that's trickling in the league, but shitty for everyone else, NBA fans, players, etc.
You make decisions based on money, and that affects everything. Mm. And so, yeah.
I'm with you. I think that everyone can agree that the hard cap, the second apron, has not been good for anybody. I also think that came from the owners, by the way. That was their idea. Mm-hmm. The players didn't come up with that shit. Nah, we agreed to it. That's on us.
So they knocked out two birds with one stone. We made sure that players are participating in all these games, especially when it comes to their new television deal with streaming. And also, you got the top line guys possibly not being eligible for the Supermax contracts in which they already qualify for by not making these all NBA teams. Jokic this season is fighting to get above that 65 games so he can sign his Supermax deal. If it doesn't happen for him this season, he has one more chance next year. If he doesn't play more than 65 games, then he wouldn't qualify for that Supermax we all know he deserves. Tyrese Halliburton in 2024 was going through the same thing. He risked further injury just to hit that 65 game threshold so he could make an all-NBA team and sign for his Supermax deal. This shit is completely out of whack, but it's been carefully designed this way on purpose.
The owners came up with that shit because they want the parity and everybody wants equal opportunity. So going forward, obviously we need to be negotiating from a position of strength and leverage.
And also seriousness. The NBA players do not take their union or just their meetings, the reps on the teams. It's mostly G League guys. The players do not take their union situation serious until they see the repercussions of it.
But I think my focus right now is like, because I feel like if you look at the breakdown of the percentage of like minimum, mid-level, max, and the in-between gaps, it's not that far off from what it usually is.
Yeah.
But there's no more free, there's no opportunity.
Nope.
You can't move. You can't keep a player. There's no free agency anymore. Free agency is a trade deadline now.
Yep.
You have a situation like JK, where it's like, we don't want to play you, we're not going to pay you, and we're not going to trade you.
Yep.
Also, Cam Thomas in Brooklyn. Everyone knows he can play, but he's almost in the same no man's land situation. Trae Young is in a contract year. Anthony Davis is also looking to re-up in his contract, and those guys, They basically got salary dumped in a trade.
So like I feel like that part of the CBA is where the real harm is done at, and the second apron is the excuse for the teams to say, oh, we can't do anything because of second apron. So obviously I feel like everybody is gonna go to the table with like an idea that we need to change that. Somehow.
It has to be.
It has to change. Everybody can agree that shit hasn't been good for anybody.
A bunch of unintended consequences on everybody. But you know, and I know it came from the owners, but the problem I have with it is, as players, you mean to tell me a business is doing the greatest it's ever done. These valuations of these teams are as high as they ever been. And what you come out with is, all right, we're going to agree to capping how much we can make. That to me just didn't make sense in the first place. Like,
and another clever way they did it, Draymond, they promised you guys that you can own percentages of gambling companies or just liquor brands or just other ventures that in the previous CBA you guys could not participate in. At the end of the day, that promise of ownership is only going to be applied to 1% of the players. A guy like LeBron James, Luka, you have to be on that level. Established companies don't want to necessarily partner up with guys and start giving out percentages of ownership. But that illusion is what the owners sold you guys on. So to get some of that leverage, you guys agreed to things like the second apron.
Listen, the owners are some of the best businessmen in the world. The NBA has some of the best lawyers in the world.
The best.
Like so you're up against, what you're up against is a tall task. Like it's like you're up against some of the best, right? Like I get that. But in any logical business, to cap your earnings, it just doesn't make sense. And that's what we did. And again, to their credit, they say, you know what? We're gonna allow players to have ownership. And in turn, they do little things like that. And then we like, all right, fuck it, we'll take a second apron because they're gonna have us ownership. Well, unfortunately, right now today, there's probably 3 to 5 guys who can actually afford to be owners in NBA teams. These valuations are
crazy,
nuts, right? There's probably 3 to 5 players that can afford that, and 0 of them have it. But we gave up a second apron because they throw out things like that. CBA before, they like, oh, we're gonna raise the age to what you can sign a maximum contract. We give up something else, right? Like they know ultimately who's that affect. CP get a max, Bron get a max, but most 36-year-olds can't get a max contract anyway, right? So like, Steph get a max, right? But like,
no, I'm with you.
You know
what
I'm saying? So I think they throw out these things, and they're great businessmen. They throw out these things that they know they can get us on. We agree, and we give up shit that's like a second apron, man. Look at baseball. They like, fuck that salary cap. We not having one.
Real shit. Y'all heard it here first. Draymond Green, Vice President, 2027. You gonna help me out, motherfucker, with all this shit. 65 game rule. It's been a big deal now because Joker and Shea. What do you think about that?
Another thing I think has a bunch of unintended consequences.
No, Draymond. All those things were intentional. Once again, you said it out of your own mouth that the NBA had teams of some of the best lawyers available. And make no mistake about it, these owners not only wanted you guys to participate in some of these nationally televised games, just get that guarantee, but they also positioned a lot of the top stars to be in a situation where they wouldn't qualify for all NBA selections, thus not being eligible for Supermax contracts.
Has a bunch of unintended consequences. Like what we know is Joker don't miss games. What we know is Shea don't miss games. What we also know is they were legitimately hurt. What we all agree on is they're probably the top two in MVP voting. That didn't change with the amount of games they missed in anyone's mind.
Right.
To add a rule like 65 games, it's kind of a slap in the face. And the reason it's a slap in the face because these things ultimately alter NBA history, but guys have made history not playing 65 games. So how do you add that now? You know what I'm saying? Put these restraints on someone.
Because low-key, the owners don't give a fuck about the history unless it affects them financially. See, the fact that they're willing to change certain players' all-NBA just accolades, but yet not go back on the 82-game schedule, because one of the options saved them money versus the other one, it loses them money. Again, the 65-game rule, that shit is attached to guys making all-NBA, which is also attached to guys being eligible for certain Supermax contracts.
But you can look in the record books and see Kawhi Leonard won Defensive Player of the Year playing 58 games.
Mm-hmm.
That alters the course of history for a rule to change one simple thing, which is load management on the road, essentially.
Right, basically.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it has all these unintended consequences because we got two guys who don't miss games, but they legitimately got hurt.
Yeah. Right.
And they could possibly lose. And the opportunity to make an MVP, to win an MVP, based on a rule that was put in for something that has something totally different.
Like moving the goalpost.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think the rule is terrible. I think, listen, you know who the voters are. They make the committee. Send out something to your voters that say, hey, maybe we should take into account the amount of games someone played. Maybe you let the voters take that into account on their own. But
that was my rebuttal was it should be a reference point, not a rule. And then two, I want to go back and goddamn rewrite the committee in the first place.
Yes.
Because if you go down the list of who voting on what, it's a little crazy now.
Bad.
It's bad. Like we need some real basketball aficionados, people that the players respect, former greats that people respect, because it's like it's not all of them, but it's some crazy people that get to vote. Like this motherfucker could vote better than some of them.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? He never played a high level basketball, and neither have they.
They have.
You know what I mean? And that don't determine if you know the game or not. But I'm just saying, I think that all of that shit could be revamped in a way that it will result in a better process.
Yes.
There's just too many things tied into some of the players being eligible for their version of the Supermax. You have media members who have relationships with certain GMs and just team presidents, even owners. So their votes and agendas being tied to players making all NBA was already kind of deemed suspicious. Now you add on the fact that for them to even have a chance to vote for you, you have to play more than 65 games. It's just a huge clash, and some of the leaders of the Players Union, they have a lot of work ahead of them. But last but not least, Big Body Dre gave some great insight onto how he wants to be remembered as a player for the Warriors.
I want to be remembered as a winner. That was always my goal. That was, Coach Izzo. I love that man. Because my freshman year, he said, Draymond, your best skill is to win. You're a winner. You should always want to be remembered as a winner because that's the best thing you got going about you. Say you just fucking win. He said, if we're in an open gym, you win. If I come watch you in stage, you win. And AAU, you just figure out a way to win. You are a winner. And as my career went on at Michigan State, that's all he would preach to me. If I was falling short of being a winner, that was a problem. And that could be in many different angles. But that was his vision. And as a winner himself, he taught me how to be a winner. I always won, but as you go to these levels, they get heavier and heavier and tougher and deeper, and you got to learn more and more. And he's so vital in who I became. And so I want to be remembered as a winner. And everything outside of that, I really don't give a shit about. Defensively, I want to be remembered for my defense, of course, but I don't give a shit if you really think I'm the greatest defender or not. I know my place. I know what I do. I know opposing players don't want to see me in action. I know opposing players got to think twice about doing something if I'm on the floor. I know they got to go to a secondary thing they wanted to do because I plugged the gap that they had that they was trying to exploit. And so I have so much appreciation and knowledge and understanding that I don't need that. I don't need these individuals oh man, I just want to be remembered as a winner. And as long as I'm remembered as a winner, that embodies everything I set out to do.
Sure.
I didn't set out to become the greatest player ever. I didn't really, if I'm honest, even set out to become the greatest defender ever. That was never my goal. Along the way, it's like, damn, I'm really good at this thing. How far can I take it? But I just always wanted to be remembered as a winner. And in year 14, I'm a lot closer to the end than I am the beginning. I can honestly still say that's it. And so when you see me losing my mind in the huddle where everybody like, yo, they probably don't have a chance to win, I don't give a fuck. Because losing just never gonna sit well with me. Like, I will never just accept losing. That shit fucking sucks. So I'm all, like, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. If I have to go there to that moment, I'm gonna go there to that moment because I wanna fucking win by any means necessary. By the way, any fucking means necessary.
Literally.
Because
right there.
Like, I tell Steve all the time, like, if we got a group in, people be tripping about my minutes this year, right? Like, oh man, I see people talking like, he benched Draymond. No, I told him to. Like, we are rolling. I will sit over here, Steve will come over like, hey man, you wanna go back? What you think? No, we let them go. Bro, I wanna win. I don't give a shit how it looks. I wanna win. When I got taken out of the game in the Boston series and benched and off, I don't give a shit, bro. You ain't getting no. I want to win. Right. So whatever we got to do, that's all that matters to me. So in the end, when it's all said and done, as long as I left my mark as a winner and people feel like, man, that dude just figured out a way to win, I accomplished what I set out to accomplish.
Well said by Draymond Green. And it shows you nowadays that the sky is the limit for a lot of these guys coming out of the second round or even undrafted like Fred VanVleet. You could still land well over $100 million contract. But to hone this all in, at the end of the day, the importance of Draymond Green to this version of the Golden State Warriors with Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson and just their overall run cannot be measured. The hierarchy throughout the NBA is already out of whack, but when it comes to this team, Stephen Curry is the most talented, but just the overall aura, the vibe, the tone, a lot of it has to do with Draymond Green, even the Kevin Durant portion of this whole Golden State Warriors story. He is the initial person that saw a chink in the Oklahoma City Thunder's armor and slowly wheeled Kevin Durant in. But it is what it is. Draymond Green, he can't get enough flowers, and we all shouldn't mind hearing him flex his muscles, as he is already in an elite class of NBA players to achieve a lot of greatness at the highest levels.